Shoot your arrows! Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. Robert Woods, touchdown! LA! Goff goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. Picked off. Marcus Peters coming off the edge. And Ryan will be wrapped up by Clay Matthews. Everett in stride! Wow!
Franklin Myers gets his hand down there.
Little got a hand on it. Did he pick it? He did!
Racing down the sideline is Akeem Talib. Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA!
Picked off by John Johnson.
Well, Dante Fowler, who is able to get to Breeze. Greg Zuerlein sends the Rams to the Super Bowl! LA will play for the Lombardi!
All right, guys, join the show. We have Prairie View A&M, Quinton Bell, linebacker. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Going good, man. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to start off just by asking you, how did you get into football? And, what's that whole story, on how you picked up this game as you entered the NFL draft?
Oh, man. Well, it was kind of something that kind of ran in the family. My uncle, he played for the Raiders back in the 90s. And, my dad played football as well. So it was always something that was always going to happen eventually, when I was growing up and everything. And really, I really started playing, real organized football in high school. Really around junior year in high school is when it kind of got serious for me. But before we played football, we were kind of doing, my parents did a really good job of kind of exposing me and my little brother to a lot of different things. And before football, we were kind of doing a lot of stuff, like other than football, kind of like, we were doing a lot of surfing, a lot of, riding dirt bikes and, going snowboarding and things like that. So really, I got to experience a lot, and then when high school rolled around, it was kind of time to, kind of get my college paid for and things like that. So ease my way into football around that time, and that's kind of how everything got started.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And, growing up, did you have a favorite football player?
Oh, man. Growing up, I would say, that's just a good question. I would say growing up, before I really started playing, I kind of looked up to my uncle. I always watched him play, on his old film, and always been a Raider fan. So whenever the Raiders came on, I would be watching them. And really, I would say growing up, my favorite player really is my uncle. Man, just looked up to him and what he did during his time.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's awesome. But what made you choose Prairie View A&M?
Oh man, it's kind of a long, weird kind of story. But I went to high school my senior year. I got hurt in the beginning of the season, and so I missed the first 5 games. In high school they only have 10 games, I believe. So I missed the first 5 games. I didn't have any offers come out of high school, no offers. So out of high school, I went to Riverside City College in California. I ran track there for a season, didn't play football. And then, after my first track season there, I got a call from Prairie View, from the head coach at the time. He explained to me that he saw my film and he liked what he saw. He wanted me to come in on a visit. And so I wanted to visit Prairie View. Got to see the campus and everything, and I definitely liked what I saw. And, he told me that, I would be able to play football as well as my track, if I came there, which was a big thing for me at the time. And so I wound up taking the opportunity. I think it was a really good decision to make.
Yeah, no, of course. And, it's funny. I actually just found out about your school. It was really last year because this is a Rams podcast, and I'm a big fan of Kaderl Hodge. And, he came in, to training camp with reckless abandon, and he ended up making that roster, and he played a significant role on special teams and even played some snaps in the Super Bowl on offense. Just what he was able to do. How do you look at, somebody like that? I mean, obviously, you're not an Alabama type of school, but you guys are going to be on the rise. I mean, Kaderl's obviously making an impact, and now you're coming in the NFL, and I mean, you absolutely annihilated your pro day. So, kind of take me through how that thought process is. You're playing at Prairie View, and you see, a guy that was just at Prairie View, playing in the Super Bowl.
Right, man, right, man. And shout out to him, shout out to Joe Hodge, man. That was my old roommate. Actually, we got together for a few years back when I was playing receiver. And, that guy right there, he changed the mindset for a lot of us at Prairie View, when he did what he did when he came in. And, he had a couple of great seasons, and then he killed his pro day as well. Then he, went undrafted and made a 53-man roster. That was big for us. That was big for the school, So I know just me personally, that motivated me, a whole lot, man. And just being at Prairie View and having somebody to look up to like that, man, it really just, for me, it really just fueled me, knowing that, okay, I come from a smaller school and the odds are already against me, just for the fact that, the name of my school, it doesn't matter who I am as a player, but the name of my school is going to hold me back a little bit. And so I think that just being an underdog and being, kind of looked over a little bit really fuels me and my teammates back at Prairie View. I think that if anything, a lot of positive comes out of it just because we're aware of our situation. I think that's one thing that Cadell Hodge was aware of. He knew, that, okay, I'm in Prairie View and I'm a hell of a receiver, but hey, I got to work a little bit harder than the next man just because of the name on my jersey. So to answer your question, I think that I really embraced it, and I appreciate, just the work that I have to have, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the people who, kind of doubt me and doubt someone that comes from a school like that because, like I said, I use it to fuel me and really motivate me. I think that it helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's exactly, my first thought is, when I, your name came up on my radar, I was like, oh, another guy from the school. And when you start to kind of string those players together for a program, it's how you build up a program. I was just talking to, we've interviewed a few guys from Akron, and, Akron isn't a huge school, but, you see how all of a sudden you change the culture and you have success, and then you show to everybody, hey, I can have success here, and then all of a sudden people start following in your footsteps, and it's just it's a great thing to see. I'm starting to really see a pattern with it. So, congrats to you and everything, you've done, and congrats to Cadero, of course. But, what was your favorite moment, from being at Prairie View, playing there, or maybe if there's a game or even a play that stands out? What is your favorite moment about Prairie View as a football player?
I think I definitely know what it is. And I think that it was probably my first sack against NCC State. I believe that was I want to say second or third game last year. And, obviously I just came from offense this past years, and it was my first game on defense. And so the first game we played Rice, I didn't have a sack. And then the second game, we came in and played NCC State, and, I was just fiending for a sack. And I had to get in sacks, all year during spring ball and all through camp. And so, I needed to get my first sack under my belt as a defensive player in college, man. And we were in our 3-4 package. I was stand up pass rusher, and I got to come off free off the edge, and the quarterback was sitting back there, and I hit him so hard, man. And it was unreal. It was unreal. It was what I had been waiting for. The crowd went crazy. My teammates went crazy. And I think that moment, that was the moment I knew, man, I love defense. That moment, I was like, man, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be on the field. So definitely, that was probably like my favorite moment as a football player at Prairie View.
Yeah, it's really cool, in my opinion anyway, because, you're somebody that, you start on the offensive side of the ball and then you go to the defensive side of the ball, and it's kind of like, not saying it would happen, but even the little things where, say you're at the next level and, a coach is like, hey, I remember, I watched some of your film and obviously you caught some passes, in college. How would you like to be part of, this package that will run like a trick play or something? Like, you never know, how that will be perceived. I mean, Mohamed Sanu is somebody I've seen now, with the Falcons. He used to be a quarterback, and they have him throwing, every now and then. So, every little bit of, strengths to your game, an NFL offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator is going to try and take advantage of. So I think that's, I love that background. I love, the converted story, because some guys, they'll tell you and they're like, I started as a catcher in baseball when I was little and I'm a catcher today. Like that was just their thing. Or I was always born to play quarterback. But,
Right.
some guys literally just go, oh yeah, I played every position and then I kind of settled here. I just love those, converted stories because you talk about guys like, Alec Ogletree that played for the Rams and, he was a safety, transfer to a linebacker, not as big of a thing, but the wide receiver cornerback. You don't really see a wide receiver linebacker. And I think that's why, your game adds like a completely new element. I think it really translates well to the next level, simply because, just the way, the course of history has gone for the linebacker position. We used to think of like the Jack Hams and the, Dick Butkus, guys that would just like thumpers, they'd kill you in the middle of the field. And now it's like,
Right.
they want guys that are sideline to sideline, like a Jalen Smith or Miles Jack, guys that have just come into the league, as of recent. So, I'm really excited for you in that regard. But, I want to ask you, who's the toughest player you faced while in college?
Toughest player I faced while in college? I would say, I would probably say the toughest player that I faced in college was probably the tackle from Alabama State. His name is Titus, and I believe he's projected. I think he's top 50 right now. He's in this year's draft, and I would just say that he was probably the most, fundamentally sound tackle that I went up against. It's also coincidence though that I had one of my best games against him, and I think that right. And I think that kind of knowing that I was going up against him, we knew that he had a Senior Bowl invite at the time, and he was top coming out of his class, one of the top tackles, and so I think that me just mentally the player that I am is I rise to the occasion and whatever I need to do. And so I said, okay, I got this guy coming in here. I got to bring my A game. And, I think that brought out the best in me in my game. And, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to go up against a good player like him. But that was definitely probably the toughest tackle that I faced this past season.
Yeah, kind of like game recognized game, right?
Right.
Definitely like that answer. Titus is somebody that, is definitely rising up draft boards. I did have an opportunity to see him when I was at the Senior Bowl. So I definitely can see what you're saying. How was your pro day, man? Take me through that because, that's a pretty big, step in the whole draft process.
Yeah, man, my pro day was amazing, man. I had a lot of fun. It was really good to go back to play and see my coaches and, my old teammates, man. But that whole process was amazing, man. I got the opportunity to train with, at APEC in Fort Worth, Texas. I was there, I went there right after New Year's and got done, around late March, my pro day was. And they did a great job, man. I came in, I had all my goals that I wanted to hit and that I thought that I wanted to, do with my pro day. And they made sure that that's what I was going to do. Shout out to Bobby Stroop and all those guys at APEC, man. They really did a great job with me. I came in there at around 218 pounds. I believe I did 10 reps on the bench the first day. I ran a 4.6 my first day. And then you turn around in that pro day, I walked in at 238 pounds. I did 23 reps and ran a 4.3. So, they really did a great job in making sure that so I went in there and I did what I was supposed to do. And I hit every goal that I had. I hit, if not surpassed it. I had a goal to run 4.4. And my trainer told me, he said, hey, man, you can run 4.3. And I was like, okay, I was listening to him and whatnot, okay, you're right. But I really wanted to hit 4.4, so when I ran 4.3, man, it was just a surreal feeling. And, everything that I did at Pro Day was amazing. And I really definitely opened the eyes to a lot more teams, a lot of new scouts. I got 3 top 30 visits booked that same day at my Pro Day. Like, I did my Pro Day. That night I had 3 emails of flights booked for visits to teams. So it really changed my life. When I went in there, I changed my life just in a couple hours, and I did what I was supposed to do. So, really shout out to my agent, man, for, getting me at APEC and shout out to APEC for getting me right and making sure that, made my dreams come true that day, definitely.
Yeah, that was just ridiculous. I mean, like, that came across my news feed, and I was just like, he ran a what? Like, just, shout out to you, man, because like you said, you thought you were a 4.4 guy, and then your trainer was like, you could run a 4.3, and you worked really hard and you did that. And let's be honest here. I mean, running from a sprinter stance, I always say this: it's not quite what you're going to be doing in an NFL game. You're not going to start off as a linebacker coming out of a sprinter stance, but it shows that explosiveness. It shows that ability to kind of withstand the same speed and for a long period of time. I mean, 40 yards is a long time. So if somebody gets by, I mean, they're not going to get by you, really. I mean, they might, if they sneak by you, you're going to catch up with them in like 5 yards. Like 5 yards. So, it's a pretty big deal, and I think, obviously this is the process you have to ace. And this is the process where, even guys that have, that national exposure, right? They go and they really showcase their stuff against a great school, and then they have that great tape. And then, say they run like a 4.7 as a cornerback. This is the time that really kind of dictates where you go, whether it's fair or not. I mean, the bottom line is you can't just take this lightly, and I think that's the thing. You really ace this, and I'm sure you know it, but I mean, it can't be stressed enough how much you ace that. And I'll say this: I don't know if you know Emery Hunt of Football Game Plan, but he came on the show and he name dropped you. He's like, "Yeah, this kid just ran a 4.3." At his pro day. I had already heard about you beforehand. I was trying to get you on during that time, but I thought it was funny that he name dropped you like that. Just like we were talking about different opportunities for the Rams in the draft, and you're a guy out there that your name is getting talked about. So I'm sure you either know that or you're kind of like, I'm just enjoying the process. But but anyway, gotta ask you. It may not be anybody in particular, but who, if anyone, have you modeled your game after?
I think that in college, I want to say that I kind of really watched a little bit of Von Miller, as well as Khalil Mack. I think that in college we had a 4.3 package as well as a 3.4 package, so I pretty much did half of my plays in 3-point and the other half in 2-point. Pass rush and drop in the coverage as well. So I know that Bond is a guy who stands up in the 2-point, and the 3-4 outside backer, there's a lot of coverage and things like that. So, and then I know Khalil Mack is a guy who's in the 3-point, and he also goes in coverage a little bit and does a lot of things out of there. So definitely two fast guys, 2 speed rushers as well. So I felt like with my body type and with my abilities, that those were 2 guys I could really watch and kind of learn from with their tape.
Yeah, no, that's great. And like, how do you view yourself coming into the NFL? Do you want to? Would you say you could start right away? Like, an NFL team is just like, all right, you're our starter. Would you rather be an edge guy, or would you want to be like an inside backer, or maybe an outside backer in a 4.3? Like, how do you project your game to the next level?
So I project my game to whatever a team will want me to be. If I get drafted by a team who is a 4.3, once you put my hand in the dirt, I'll do that to the best of my abilities. And if I get drafted to a 3.4 team who says, hey, stand up on the edge and set the edge and pass rush and get in coverage for us, I can do that too. I believe that, whatever a team, would need me to be able to do on that defensive side of the ball, I know that there can be great coaching wherever I go. And, anything I need to learn and get better at, I know that will happen. But the type of player I am, I'm extremely coachable. So I'm not worried about, having to learn and to get better at anything, that, a team would feel like is a flaw in my game. So, to answer your question, whatever a team would need me to do right now, I could do. There's really no I'm not putting any restrictions on myself and things like that.
Yeah, I like that. Mr. Versatile and Mr. Swiss Army Knife, those are definitely 2 things that, the NFL loves. With that being said, talk about your game a little bit. What is your biggest strength as a player?
I think my biggest strength as a player physically, I think in college was straight speed. And, I've always been a fast guy in everything that I've done. So when I first made the switch, my college coach kind of really emphasized, look, man, just started pass rushing, just use your speed for now. Just go, go, go. You're going to outrun these tackles. You're going to get on the edge. You're going to get sacks. That's what I did in college. I think now, as I'm moving to the next level and got a lot to get with a lot of different trainers and things like that, I'm definitely working on my speed to power and, lot more stuff with hand speed, and really the main thing is, my get off. And so I think that right now, just my biggest strength physically would be just my get off, getting off the ball, and being able to dip and turn the corner. And I think this is going to be a big plus for me to the next level, just knowing that the skill of the tackles is going to be a whole different level now. So being able to get off the ball and use speed, the power, and cross chop and spin and things like that, really going to have to add to my repertoire and my game going to the next level.
Yeah, and kind of something I always ask, like, based on positions. What would you say you bring to the table that no other linebacker in this class brings?
That's a good question. What I bring to the table, the no other linebacker job, I believe I bring. For one, I'm the fastest linebacker in this class, and I'm also the most coachable. And I believe that I don't know every single linebacker in this class. I'm definitely one of the biggest linebackers in this class, and I can run. And so the team drafted me. I bring a player who's extremely coachable, a player who can adapt to any situation, a player who played offense for his first 3 years of college and switched to defense. And not only did he switch to defense, but went to the trenches and had success. And half of it was because, he's a great athlete, but the other half was because I'm also a very coachable player, and I learn fast, and I have a really edge to get better. So I bring probably the most coachable player in this draft. I'm using anybody in this draft who has more of a clean slate than me, who come in and learn and get better any faster than I can. I think that's what sets me apart from everybody in this draft.
I like that. And kind of a fun question here that we like to ask. Who is, if you could have any quarterback that you could sack in the NFL, who would it be?
Man, I think that if I could sack one right now, I think it would be Tom Brady, man. And I think because, you don't see him get sacked a lot. I've been watching film and stuff like that. I know Aaron Donald just got the hit on him. He got a couple good hits on him when they played him this past season. But you just don't see Tom Brady really get hit a lot, man. And so I just feel like if I could just come off the edge free one time and just, if my first sack or whatever sack in my career was Tom Brady, man, that would be a pretty memorable moment right there for me. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a popular answer. It's funny because you mentioned Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl, and there's only been one guy in the history of the Downtown Rams podcast. We've interviewed over 400 different people, and probably we're close to 200 player interviews. But John Franklin Myers actually forced a fumble in the Super Bowl, so he's the only one that's ever come on here that has been able to sack Brady. So, maybe you'll be the second this year. Who knows?
Who knows, man?
I mean, if you go to the Patriots, I doubt they're going to let you hit the guy with the red jersey. But right,
definitely not.
But with that being said, we are a Los Angeles Rams-based podcast, so I have to ask you the burning question: have you met or spoken with the Rams throughout this process, and if so, when and where?
Well, one of the Rams scouts came to my pro day. And I had met him during this past 2018 season at my college. He came up and talked to me, and he also came to my pro day, and so I've definitely been in contact with the Rams throughout this process. Just hoping, if LA is where I end up, I'm from Long Beach, California. So I definitely be at home on the Rams, but nonetheless, man, it would be great to be around. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, we'll know what's gonna go on, in just 1 week. So. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and that'd be awesome to add the other Prairie View guy to the same roster, because you and Kadero on the Rams, that'd be just awesome. Maybe you would room together again for the mini camp.
All right.
But no, that's I'm really glad to hear that, because I am a big fan of yours, and so is Alexis, who is unable to make the interview today. But we're both really big fans, and we're really glad to be able to have you on the show and kind of add you to the team DTR thing that we have going, because we have this like spreadsheet of all the guys that we've interviewed, and we're going to be rooting for every single one of you, no matter where you go, and even if it is the Patriots, and even if you do end up beating the Rams in the Super Bowl again. But, 100% really appreciate you coming on. We got to stay in touch for sure. But I have one last question for you. Who is Quinton Bell as a person, and who is he as a player?
Oh, man, well, I think that's a good question. And I think that kind of mirrors each other. It's kind of similar, on and off the field. I'd say that really the words that describe me would be humble and hungry. And I just think that, when I talk to these GMs on these visits, they kind of ask me who they're drafting as a player and a person. Like you just asked me, and I tell them, I said, this is a real hungry and humble person. Someone who has been an underdog his whole life, on and off the field, who has been slept on in a sense, who's been looked over, and so someone who doesn't care about people's opinions about him. Someone who's willing to put his head down and do what he's told and work. On and off the field. Someone who's willing to do more than the next man, way more than the next man. During my training process, there was a time where they had to tell me to stop working out because I always wanted to do something extra, and I felt like if I do my workout today and I don't stay and do something extra, I'm not getting better today. I got an opportunity to train with a lot of big school dudes and dudes from Ohio State and Baylor and Akron and University of Texas. So I'm in there with those guys. I'm like, no, man, these guys aren't better than me. I got to get in here. I got to do more than them. I got to be able to say that, hey, I beat you today. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of player that I am, and the kind of person I am off the field. I believe that I can do anything I put my mind to. No matter what anybody thinks about me, no matter where I come from, I know what I'm capable of as a man, as a football player. I believe that I'm probably the fastest learner in the history of the game and in real life. Like I said, I'm a visual learner, and on the field, I'll go into the film room, I'll get with my coach, I'll write it down, I'll watch it, and I'll go do it the next day, And I'm the same way off the field, you know what I'm saying? If there's a situation or anything, I'll talk to somebody about it and we'll get it handled, you know what I'm saying? So someone who just really, keeps his nose clean and just is all about getting better in every aspect of life, you know what I'm saying? And doing better than I did that before. That's definitely the kind of player that I am, just on and off the field.
Yeah, Quinn, I couldn't agree more. You've really blown me away. Obviously, your pro day was insane. Your measurables are insane. You look the part, but you really sound the part as well. I would say you're a great interviewee. I think you could add that to your list of things there. And I'm really excited to see you and, just where you go in this draft. Whether it's the Rams or not, I'm going to be a fan, and Alexis is as well. And we're going to be rooting for you. If you ever need anything, just let us know. But I really mean it. We definitely need to stay in touch. And, man, just good luck the rest of the way and definitely stay healthy.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You take care, Quinton.
All right, you too.
All right, join the podcast. We have Miami of Ohio wide receiver James Gardner. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. And just to start this off, we just want to hear a little bit about how you got into the game of football.
I would say since I was 7, played Little League football, Hollywood, Florida, for the Eagles. Ever since high school, I played since middle school, high school. Really didn't get into it until my 11th grade year. And after that, it just took off from there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Growing up, did you have a favorite player at the next level that you looked up to?
I would say my favorite player would have to be Randy Moss. He was an all-around athlete, fast, catch, play receiver. Obviously, I play receiver. Him and Megatron, Calvin Johnson, those were the two guys I really looked up to growing up.
Yeah, and when it came time for you to play in college, you ended up playing for Miami, Ohio. What was your main factor in choosing them? The educational part and just the rebuilding of the Miami football legacy, I felt like that was the reason why I chose Miami. I had a couple of MAC offers,
Obviously, I was committed to Cincinnati before, but once I took my official visit here to Miami with Coach Martin, he showed me the Miami tradition, and I felt like I was right in. I fit right in as soon as I got on campus.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you finished your college career, 107 catches, 1,900 yards, 17 touchdowns. You're ninth all time in career receiving yards and touchdown catches for Miami. What does that mean to you as you leave? Just looking at what was a really productive career.
To be honest with you, I couldn't do none of that without my teammates, my coaches. I just played my role on the team and help my team out the best I can, to the best of my abilities. And leaving with those numbers, it's a blessing from God. And I just can't wait till I get to the next level to prove myself.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have a lot of great memories from your time at Miami, Ohio. But is there one memory, maybe a favorite play or a favorite game that stands out to you?
Yeah, we played Kent State, and I remember I had made the game-winning block for my running back, Kenny Young. He scored the game-winning touchdown, and I like to say that was probably my favorite moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's funny, you're a receiver, and how people are all like, oh, the receivers just want to be all in the spotlight and, be part of the big play. And your favorite moment is, putting a block on a guy. That's team player right there. I love that. With that being said, obviously, you played against some top-notch competition in college. What would you say is the toughest player you went up against?
I wouldn't say I know their names, but I would say Notre Dame's defense. They're pretty tough, but I was able to have a pretty good performance against them. We ultimately lost the game, but all in all, I feel like those were my toughest opponents.
Yeah, for sure. Notre Dame definitely had an all-star defense to season a lot of guys who are going to be drafted, and I can imagine it's probably pretty tough to play against them for sure. But, you've got a lot of strengths as a player, but in your opinion, what is your biggest strength?
I would say my catch radius, hand-eye coordination, being able to attack the ball in the air, contested. I think those are my strong suits as a receiver.
Yeah, and then, what's one area in your game you're looking to improve upon?
To be honest with you, I want to improve every area in my game. I want to be the best I can for my team and for myself. And I just feel like there's never enough room to learn. So every aspect I feel like I can improve on.
What is one thing that you bring to the table that no other wide receiver brings in this draft?
I would say I don't quit. Obviously, like you said, I play against tough opponents. No matter the outcome, no matter the situation, you always know that I will be there. Consistency.
Yeah, it's definitely a great trait to have. So now we'll kind of switch gears and ask you kind of a fun question here. Talk about the NFL. Who do you most want to moss in the NFL? I know you mentioned earlier that Randy Moss is your favorite player growing up. So who do you most want to iconically moss in the next level?
Well, he doesn't. Well, the corner I really want to moss, to be honest, he doesn't play. Deion Sanders. Me playing offense, I really looked up to him. Even though he was on the other side of the ball, but he would have to be the one that I want to moss, especially he's not in the league right now, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes before I get there.
Smart answer.
Well, this next question is, what quarterback do you most want to catch a touchdown pass from the NFL?
Oh, that's tough because it's like, it really don't matter with quarterbacks. It's like I would love to play with any quarterback that plays in the NFL. But my favorite, I would say Lamar Jackson. We're both from Florida, South Florida, so I feel like we have that we'll have that connection at the next level.
Yeah, I love that. That's not one that we've heard before. We've heard toughest player Lamar Jackson, and we've heard, guy you want to sack Lamar Jackson, but we haven't heard, guy you want to catch a touchdown pass from. And, Lamar was my top quarterback last year, so I think he's going to be, spectacular, as, he continues to develop in the league. And I like that pick for sure. But, kind of going into it, we are a Rams-centric podcast, so I have to ask you, have you met or spoken with the Los Angeles Rams throughout this pre-draft process?
I haven't, but I'm sure those guys over at Rams, they have my rap sheet. They know, the things I could bring to the team, and it just depends on what they're looking for right now. But if I'm blessed with the opportunity to play for their organization or get a chance in training camp, that would definitely be a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Jake and I are big fans of you, and we love your game. So we're going to be fans of you no matter where you go because, we think you're going to do big things in the NFL, and we can't wait to see. It's coming up. We're about a little less than a week away to the draft. And, I know that you're probably really excited, maybe a little nervous, but, we're excited to see what's to come for you. But to wrap it up in your own words, who is James Gardner, the player, and who is he as a person?
I would say James Gardner, the player. He's a tough player, consistent. He'd go all out, leader, responsible. As a person, caring, loving, understanding, just all around great person. Very humble. And a team player, team working.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was really blown away when you said your biggest moment was that block. I can't stress that enough. So, definitely agree with that team player. You obviously just talking with you, you sound like a great person. So, man, it's been a pleasure. And, we're rooting for you regardless of, which team you go to. And we hope you, go high in the draft. And no matter what, we're going to be fans of yours. So, let's stay in touch, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys for having me on again. It's a great podcast, and I definitely would like to hear from you guys in the future.
Of course. Definitely will do. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Joining us on the show, we have Lanard Bonner, offensive lineman, Arkansas State. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's a blessing. But everything's going great, man.
That's awesome. And just to start this off, we just want to hear a little bit about how you got into the game of football.
Man, starting football, just growing up around my older cousins and older brother. All of them played little organized football, and I was always a fan. I always played outside growing up and stuff and just playing with them. But I never really did the organized. I tried, and it didn't work out for me. But I didn't start back playing football till middle school. I played 2 years in middle school where I was 7 and 8. And then started back playing football until high school with 11th and 12th grade, 2 years out of high school career.
That's awesome, man. And growing up, did you have a favorite NFL player?
Growing up, man, I don't even remember who was my favorite player, but it's just mostly my current player right now. This was left tackle for Redskins, Trent Williams.
Ooh, nice. Good pick.
Silverback.
And, we talked a little bit about how you grew up and started playing football, but then it came time for you to play in college, and you ended up going to Arkansas State. What was the main factor for you in choosing them?
It was actually out of high school, I went to junior college. I did 2 years in junior college at Highland Community College. Then I went to Arkansas State. I chose Arkansas State based off the teams, the rest of the colleges that were still in my decisions. They pretty much took it out, and I had a teammate that went there from my junior college. He was a DN there, Jake Swally, which he's out in Miami right now coaching. But we were good teammates and kind of worked with them. I took a visit I felt like it was home for me. Like, it was all love. Troop Taylor, another coach, helped get me there, and it was all love from there.
That's great, man. Really glad to see you take that step. Obviously, you start off JUCO and then you go right into this, this program. And, we spoke off air, but, I think I know you guys are going in the draft, but I feel like you guys are leaving a lasting impression on, the future of Arkansas State football for sure. With that being said, what was your most memorable moment of your college career?
Without a doubt, was playing Bama this year because a Birmingham kid growing up, and Bama was one of my favorite teams, college teams. I never had an NFL favorite team because Alabama don't have a professional team, so that replaced my favorite. So actually going against them and Tuscaloosa too at that, I don't think anything is top set for real.
That's awesome. And you played against a lot of tough competition while you were at college. And is there one guy who stands out to you as being the toughest guy that you went up against?
When I first got to Division I, it was probably Javon Rolling-Jones, by the way, with Chris Odom, too. Going against those two guys in practice constantly. And then we had Rohan Bingham. I can't say it was another DN in the conference that was him at his talent, to be honest.
Yeah, man, and obviously you had your pro day, and you took a pro day obviously with Ron Heen and all those guys. What was it like, kind of as a last send off from Arkansas State and on to the next level, and how well do you think you did?
As a pro day wise?
Yes.
Man, I left it all over on the field that day. Gave my all, leave it up to God, to be honest. And I feel like we all, as all the teams that performed at the pro day, I feel like we all performed pretty well. Gave it all, but I feel like I did pretty good for myself. Made a name for myself and just continue to build on top of that.
That's awesome. And, in your opinion, what is your biggest strength as a player?
Me being able, since when I first came in, I started on the right side. And then the next year, I played to the left side. And both seasons, I was named first team all-conference. So me being able to be showing a little versatility on both sides. And also they looked at me to move inside. And I feel like it's not a problem for me, to be honest. And actually getting a couple reps, a lot of reps at Easy versus Royce Shrine game. So it's on like a lot of versatility for me, and I feel like I'm able to do anything. I'm coachable and all that, and then I have a lot of strength and I'm aggressive at what I do.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Shrine game. What was your overall takeaway from that?
Overall, man, I met great people, great coaches, and I played with some great players, and I feel like it was a well-earned thing. It was like a great gift after a good season. I feel like a great season I put up, and actually go up and meet guys and had an opportunity to go out and see the kids at the hospital and stuff with the Shrine game things. It was a great experience and a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this next question is just kind of a fun question we like to ask offensive linemen who come on our show, just because we're curious of the answer. But if you had to pick one person, who would you most want to stonewall in the NFL?
Oh, there's so many of them. I have to go with, since I'm moving inside, man, I'm going to have to go with Aaron Donald.
That's a good one, man. You got to beat the best to be the best, right?
Exactly.
And man, if you could stonewall Aaron Donald, you'd have like your picture put on a poster or whatever in the locker room or something. Because I don't think I've ever. And look, I get this is a Rams podcast and we're Rams fans, but I've never seen anything like Aaron Donald in any sport. Like, I mean,
Definitely.
he's just he's unreal. So I like that pick for sure. With that being said, kind of segue into, I mean, of course, we are a Rams-based podcast, so I have to ask you, Lanard, have you met or spoken with the Los Angeles Rams throughout this pre-draft process?
I believe I did a pro day, and I might have met with them during the East West Shrine game, too.
Awesome.
That's awesome. We love to hear that because we, are big fans of you and your game and would love to see you end up a Ram, but I know I can speak for Jake on this. No matter where you go, we're going to be fans of you and follow your career because we think that you're going to do big things in the NFL, and it's coming up. We got about a week and a half until it starts. I think so. It's creeping up.
Oh yeah, time's been flying.
Yeah, time is definitely flying. I want to ask you, kind of like a question we always ask people, and there's not always an answer, but if there is anyone, who have you modeled your game after?
Definitely Trent Williams.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I remember when he was drafted, and I remember when he was drafted, and the commissioner of the league called him Trent Silverback Williams. I still, I find that so funny, but yeah, no, that's a great one for sure. Yeah, I just, obviously he's one of the best at his position, and,
Oh, without a doubt, still holding it down.
Absolutely. And, just to wrap it up, as a final question, in your own words, who is Lanard Bonner, the player, and who is he as a person?
I would say me. I'm both on and off the field inspirational guy, and a guy who's just strives for success, no matter the challenges and anything that I go through. And I feel like I try to use it on. I try to use football as a way to inspire guys from back in my hometown and stuff like that, and just try to really paint that picture for guys who feel like they're going through things and they feel like they're not able to do it. But I've been through so much adversity in my life. I feel like my story could help inspire a lot of other people because I feel like it was really impossible for me to do it, but I still made a way to do it.
That's awesome, man. Hey, it's been a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun interviewing your teammates as well. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Stay healthy. Good luck the rest of the way. The draft's almost here, and we can't wait to see what you do in the NFL. But for now, I mean, man, let's keep in touch.
Will do, man.
Yep. Thank you so much, Lanard.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. You take care.
You too.